Wednesday and the all-important announcement that will impact your money. I have all the details and what you need to know about Wednesday and this announcement right here in the video. Let's get into it and discuss what's going on. First off, have you been keeping up with all the different things that have been happening so far this year? It seems like we're only a few days into the year, which we are, and there's already been so many announcements, so many weird things happening, and we've got a lot of this month to go and a lot of this year to go still, and a lot of big things happening. Either way, I want to continue to keep you posted on this because on Wednesday morning, we will be getting yet again another economic data point, which will be for December of 2024, and that is the CPI, otherwise known as inflation report, and this will be the last inflation report that we will receive on the behalf of December 2024. Now, here's what's really interesting about this. If we look back over the last couple months, generally November and December are huge spending months for the American population because obviously the holidays, a lot of people are out there buying things that they generally wouldn't be buying, spending more money that they generally wouldn't be spending, but we really didn't see that. The holiday shopping season was somewhat of a muted time of year. They were expecting all of this money, all these billions and billions of dollars to be spent on holiday shopping, and we didn't really see that to the extent that they were expecting. Now, obviously, there was still a lot of money spent between the months of November and December, which is usually somewhat of an inflationary time because of all that extra money that is being spent, but we didn't really see it to the degree that they were expecting. Well, as a result, this is going to be translated into the inflation data that we will be getting right away on Wednesday morning. So why do we care about this? Well, this is going to lead into other decisions that will be coming out of the Federal Reserve later on this month. We'll be going into other announcements and other economic data points, and this is all going to be highly correlated as it always is. So as a result, this is going to be very important because if we see the inflation numbers continue to come down, that tends to believe that the Federal Reserve will continue to cut interest rates. And at the same time, we will continue to hear from all these people that say, oh yeah, prices are coming down so much. The consumers have so much money. It's getting so much easier for all of us to buy the necessities, the food, the utilities, the shelter, the medical, the clothing, the gas, whatever it happens to be. And then all of us continue to say, what world are you living in? Yeah, exactly. Welcome to the real world, and that is not the reality of what's happening. But either way, we've been dealing with this whole inflation situation for so many years. In fact, you probably heard me say this before in other videos. Inflation topped out at 9.1% in June of 2022. That's a long time ago. What is that, 2.5 years ago now? Yeah, that's 2.5 years ago is when inflation topped out. We're still dealing with high inflation. It's nuts. Well, here's the part though. You've heard me say this before in other videos as well. We continue to see the inflation numbers come down, which basically what they say is that all prices are coming down. False. Prices are not coming down, but rather prices are not rising at the pace that they were a few years ago, making it appear that prices are coming down. False. Prices are not coming down. Prices are holding steady at very high elevated levels, but rather the rate in which prices were increasing is not accelerating at the pace that it was, therefore making it look like inflation and prices are coming down. Does that kind of make sense? That is why we're seeing these lower and lower readings on inflation, is that it's because prices are going up, say, 0.1% or maybe 0.2% on a month-over-month basis, or maybe like 2.3, 2.5% over the course of a trailing 12-month period of time. That's maybe what they're going up now. Again, I'm just using these numbers as example purposes, whereas a couple years ago when we saw inflation really ramping up fast, we were seeing inflation going up, say, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6% on a month-over-month basis, and say 7 or 8 or 9% on a year-over-year basis. Does that kind of make sense? So the acceleration has slowed, but yet prices are still sitting very, very elevated, as we all recognize. If you don't believe that, just feel free. Go out shopping for a minute and fill up your basket and buy one bag of groceries. You'll feel the pinch of this high inflation and these high elevated prices. Not only that, you may even see smaller package sizes. So even though you're paying a higher price, your bag is probably a little bit more empty than it was a couple of years ago. And again, we all know how this works, right? But anyway, this is the inflation data point. Now, okay, the inflation data point may not be like, when we see it, it's going to be like, whoa, I can't believe it came in at that. It's not going to be like all that shocking. It's probably just going to be right in line with what we're kind of expecting. But what's really going to be important about this is the upcoming Federal Reserve announcements later on this month, and again the rest of the entire year, as we're just obviously still very early on in the year. But this is going to be kind of giving us a kind of some direction into what the Federal Reserve will likely be doing. And again, remember, Federal Reserve raised interest rates aggressively over the course of about, maybe 2 years, maybe not even quite 2 years, and then they paused for almost an entire year, just waiting, just seeing. And then they started cutting in September of 2024, obviously this last year. They've had a few meetings since then, and they have another one coming up a little bit later in a few weeks here. So my point is, this will play a much bigger role into the decisions out of the Federal Reserve and what they're going to be doing. At the end of the day, the inflation's rough, but if the Federal Reserve continues to keep interest rates very high, this will keep it very expensive for all of us. Not only are we paying higher prices on everything because of inflation, but yet we're also paying higher prices and higher basically cost to carry. In other words, what I mean by that is, if you're like me or basically everybody else out there, floating balances on credit cards, not fun, just telling you. Credit card interest rates are still very, very high. Or if you're trying to get a personal loan, a line of credit, a home equity line, auto loans, an adjustable rate mortgage, anything along these lines, credit cards, I said that, anything that has any type of adjustable interest rate, you're going to be paying significantly more for that money. In other words, the cost to carry is that if you have, say, $1,000 floated on a credit card, paying 22.5% interest or whatever it happens to be across the board is more expensive than it was just a few years ago when we saw the average interest rate on a credit card, say like 18.5% or whatever it was, 19%. We're up like 2.5%, 3%, 4% from where we were just a few years ago. Therefore, when we carry any balance on a credit card, it's just making it more and more expensive. So all of these reports that I talk about, the jobs report, the first Friday of the month, the inflation data, the CPI, inflation data, the Federal Reserve announcements, all of these are highly correlated. By the way, there's also PPI, which is another inflation data point. The PCE, personal consumption expenditures, is another very important one. All of these reports that I talk about are so incredibly important because it's all highly correlated, and a lot of it rolls back to the Fed. And when the Fed raises, cuts interest rates, or holds steady, again, that all impacts our money, all of these massively in a big, big way. And again, remember as well, obviously here we are, January, the new 2.5% COLA for those of you receiving a fixed income benefit is obviously going into play right now. But my point is as well, remember, high inflation, and inflation directly impacts your monthly benefit check in the form of your raise, the COLA, but also basically how much money you have to live on, right? The more the prices go up because of inflation, the harder it is to live. It's a tough situation. So this whole inflation business that we're dealing with, it's a rough situation. I don't care how you cut it. It's a bad, bad deal that we're dealing with. The last couple of years have been rough, and unfortunately, we're probably going to be dealing with this for a little while now. So anyway, just want to keep you posted on this. I hope this helps to some degree. But let's continue to watch for Wednesday morning. I will bring you the information about that when we get it, and I'll go through and dissect the entire report, and I'll bring you the information that you probably want to know and need to know about it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Please like the video, thumbs up button down below. Subscribe as well. Totally free to do so. Big subscribe button right down below the video. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Also, as long as you're down there, feel free to share this video with your friends on my social media if you'd like to. Otherwise, check out the well over 5,000 videos here on the channel in the video library. Otherwise, down below in the description or the top of the comment section, I've hand selected some popular videos for you there. And right now showing up on your screen as well, you'll see some videos. Thanks again. Enjoy your day. Stay warm out there. It's nuts, right? Otherwise, just have a nice day. Thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate your support, and I'll catch you again later.